Hello, my name is Allison Gooch, and I'm here to tell you about a raster image. What is a raster image? There are two types of digital graphic images, raster and vector. They are completely different. A vector is lines and shapes made of mathematical equations. A raster are squares, otherwise known as pixels, that are placed in a grid to form a design. Let's begin by understanding what a raster image is not. A raster image is not a line that can be changed into a circle or a square just by moving the line. That is a vector image. So let's go to Adobe Illustrator, which is a draw program to make vectors, and I'm just going to draw a straight little line out. And the computer is just going to mathematically draw that line out for me, and I'm going to zoom in, and we can see it is just a straight line with a solid color on it. And if I go in and draw a square, there's my square, same thing, zoom in even closer, and you can see it is just a line that has been made into a square. If I draw a circle, same type of thing. It is a circle. It's just a line that has been made into a circle, and I zoom in, and it's nice, solid, crisp, clear lines. I can also take my line and I can manipulate the shape of it. Let me zoom out quite a bit. So I'm going to take an anchor point and I'm going to add handles to it. And then I can manipulate that line and I can turn it whichever way I want. And the computer just does it for me. It makes up the mathematical equations and gives me different shapes that I can do. Raster images can't do that because they are made up of pixels or squares. So we've seen what a raster image is not. It is not a line that is manipulated by mathematical equations like a vector is. A raster, as I showed you earlier before, is made up of squares that are placed in a grid, and the squares are called pixels. So far away we are looking at a line that I drew in Photoshop, and this is a raster image. So as I zoom in, it looks like a line, but as I get closer and closer and closer and closer and zooming in to almost over 1,000%, now we see a bunch of squares or pixels all placed in a row to make a line. So now if I scroll back down and I look at a square that I've drawn, well, same thing. It is a bunch of squares placed in a grid that show me an illusion of a square. It's just a bunch of pixels made into a square. So what happens when I need to have a curved line? Well, here's a circle that I've drawn, and it looks like a circle to me, but as we zoom in and we get closer to the edges, what we actually see is all of these pixels are one color purple, and then on the edges they get lighter, but they're still there. And this one's a little bit more lavender, and you can go up on certain sides, they almost become non-existent. But so then when we zoom back out and keep going, well, there it is. It looks like a circle. So it's just giving us an illusion that we are making a circle, but it's just a bunch of squares placed on a grid that give us the illusion of that. Let's look at a diagonal line. This is interesting because it's more of like a stair step. So you see like the dark purple that gives us the line, but then you've got all these other shades of purple that create the illusion of a line. And then like as we go in closer to a heart, this one's even trickier because let's look at the point of a heart. You see that it's really just keeps coming down, and they're just changing the colors so we get the illusion of it. And finally, the last little thing we'll look at is just this rectangle that looks like a rectangle with a fill color of hot pink, but what we see inside is just a bunch of squares of different colors to give us that illusion. So a raster image is just squares. So now let's look at a picture, a photograph, and from regular distance, or 100%, well, I guess we need to do it 100%, it looks great. It looks like a beautiful, fantastic photograph. But let's look in and see what we can really see. Let's look at these mountains right here. As we zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, all of a sudden, we're just seeing a bunch of shades of blue that are manipulated in to make us think that we're looking at mountains. Let's look at the red flowers or bushes, parts of the plants. All it is a bunch of pixels in various gradations of red to give us the illusion of a beautiful mountain scene. So all a raster image is are squares of one color, versus a vector image being lines that we can manipulate using mathematical equations.